Welcome, YouTubers. I'm going to show you all how to make a gate open when it doesn't. That little trailer on the other side of that, I need to get that to the street. But as you can see, my fence is a permanent stationary fence, so I'm gonna cut it up, get it going to make it swing open and allow me to take that trailer on the other side through this fence. I am now on the other side of the fence, and you can see the trailer that I'm trying to get out. So what I'll have to do is make this fence a swing open gate. And how we're gonna do that is first you gotta, kind of visually look at what you got going on. I've already done that, so I'll get right into it. So I'm gonna leave this post in place. But as you can see, this seam, you want to make your job easy, because wherever you cut these beams, if the board on the other side isn't flush with it, then you're going to end up having to cut your board in half. So you don't want to do that. So right where this fence is separated, that's exactly where I'm going to make the cut. So I'll make the cut here. I'll go down, I'll make the same cut there. I'll come over, because this will also have to be hinged. I'll make a cut there, and I'll do the same thing at the bottom. Now, the materials that you'll need are quite simple. You'll need a reciprocating saw, hammer, screws, miter, or a circular saw. I prefer a miter saw because it's faster, it's easier, and it's more accurate. Drill, hinges, optional wheel. The optional wheel is in the event once you take this apart, if you want to then set a rolling wheel on the bottom. That'll, it's all up to you. So how I like to start these things, I have my 2x4 here. Anytime you're taking a fence like this and making it into a gate, you're going to have to then support it, because once you make those cuts there and there, it's no longer going to be supported at the post. So your fence will just collapse in like this, and it wouldn't support itself. So that's where that 2x4 is going to be. So you'll have to put a 2x4 up in like this, and you'll have to take another 2x4 and put it in like that as well. So as I pause this video, I'm going to make the cuts. But for those that doesn't know how to make the cuts, all I do is simply stick it up, measure, mark it, and then where that line is, you take it to either your circular saw or your miter saw, and you make the cut. So I'm gonna go make my cuts, and when I return, I'll have two cuts that you'll see exactly how I'll position them. So I have my 2x4s cut, 1, 2. You'll just take your 2x4s when you get to that stage, simply stick them in, and this is now gonna become your frame for your fence. You'll do the same thing over there, but prior to getting to that step, we need to make it so this thing will go open. So we have to detach it. Now if you see, this post is a little bit into where I need to cut. So to get my blade flush, I'm gonna have to knock out this board. That's what you don't want to do. See, it's a perfect example. I might have to replace the entire board here. We'll see if I can go ahead and get the saw in there. So here is your, minus that. Sorry for the moving around. It's just one hand recording and the other hand trying to get this done for you guys. So here's a reciprocating saw. Pretty inexpensive. Now I could just take it there, but if I do that, I'm gonna have some overlap. So I'll cut it there, and then I may just have to cut a bit over to even it out, but we'll see. And once I do that, I'm also then gonna cut it right there, and that will get this side detached. And then, and I have to give you the steps because I can't hold the camera and do the work at the same time, but you'd cut there, come down and cut there, and now your whole fence will be detached. And on the other side, you put your hinges on that side and that side. When I detach it, I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like. So I made my first cut, and as you can see, it's right off. I just went straight through, right at where the two boards separated, so that way I can keep my fence nice and flush without having to do any weird configurations. I was going to bring it over to the left, but decided not to, because when I close the gate, it'll close just like that. Perfect fit, so you don't even need to worry about it. So there's the first cut with the reciprocating saw. Again, that's what you need right there. And then the same thing I did right here. I'm gonna go ahead right where the seam is, right there. You literally stick your blade in there and cut right down, and then that's gonna get this right side separated, and we'll do the same for the left, and we'll put it back together. So here's a problem I just ran into, and if any of you comes into the same problem, this is how you solve it. So on this side, you can see how the nails coming in diagonally going into the post. When I tried to make my seam cut here, I couldn't cut through the nails. So a way to get around that is what I'm doing here. I went right to where the nails ended, and I just cut right across. And then I'll be able to pretty much circumvent this whole little nail problem. So I'll get that out, and then what I'll do to secure it is I'll just get a piece of a 2x4, run it across to make up for the gap in support. And that's how you get around big stubborn nails that you can't cut through. Now, as you can see, I got my first board in, and now I'm about to go work on putting my second board in. Now, one thing to note is I already did the top. I can take the screw out, but it's not a big deal because I can just come right in right there. But in this bottom area, it's a lot more confined space. So if I were to go ahead and screw that in where it needed to be, you see how much room I don't have? And that'll make it not ideal. So before you screw this in, be sure to cut that seam. Once I cut that seam, I'm gonna come up, cut this seam, and then this entire gate will be dislodged, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. Now, all of my cuts are made, and you can see that as soon as I press this fence over, it is gonna fall right on over. So you see it's just ready to come down any minute. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this camera down, knock this fence down, and show you the next steps. As you can see, I've gotten the fence all cut out, and it took a little bit of effort. This kickboard was a lot longer than I anticipated, so I had to do a little unearthing. I don't know if you can see, but that's how deep that was down in there. So as you can see, there's my left cut with the reciprocating saw, upper top cut with the reciprocating saw, bottom right cut with the reciprocating saw, and top right cut with the reciprocating saw. So now we have a gate. And what we're going to do now, we're going to finish securing that 2x4 post. That's why that was there. We're going to go ahead and put in that 2x4 post. And now that I'm looking at it, I'll just go ahead and take my screw right up in there, right through the post. It's okay if it's a little short, because when you put the screw in, it's going to pull it down and secure it. Then, on this right side here, we're going to go ahead and attach those hinges, and then we'll get some swing action going on. So when I get to that step after I secure that left 2x4, I'll go ahead and show you guys. Now, one thing to note is when you're screwing in in these screws, you don't want to use any little tic-tac screw. You want to get you a good size screw, because this is what your entire fence is going to be supported by, those 2x4. So you want to make sure you put 2 at the bottom, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, 2 at the top, and then you'll have a nice solid gate. And if you really want some extra secureness, you can go ahead and run a 2x4 right across the middle, either horizontally, or get your miter cut and run it diagonally. That'll just make the gate even that more secure. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this, get my screws in, and when I set it up and get ready for the hinges, I'll be back. So for everyone that tuned in last time when this gate was stationary, you can see now that it swings open. All you have to do is cut those seams like I said. I'll give you a little tour of it. For those that has a middle post, just cut it right at the base like that. Leave the post still attached on the other side. If you have a kickboard that goes into the ground, just leave it in there, or you can take it out. On this side I took it out, but it was a lot of work, so that one I just decided to leave in. Plastic bag due to some paint spillage unrelated to the project. But as you can see, they both close in, they'll swing out now. Hinges on that side, hinges on that side. No one's going to be looking at it but me and you YouTubers, so I don't really care about how the absolute finished product look. But if you want it to look 100% professional, then you can run a 2x4 all the way across uniformed, run another 2x4 all across uniformed, and run another 2x4 support beam down to connect to those hinges. But for what I need, which is to make this gate swing open, you can see that the once stationary gate 100% swings now. Any questions? Let me know.